Right, I believe we are live. Live video is starting. You are now live. Right, how's it going, everyone?
Going
Hey
okay. How
man.
about yourself?
So, right, I don't really know where we're going with this. I'm gonna talk a little bit about where the, where the group started, why I started the group, and the story so far. So, yeah, are we ready?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. So what sort of how like what's the origin of it, Josh? Because obviously starting a Facebook group is one thing, but getting it to 80,000 people that are constantly engaging and it growing every day, that's a whole different thing.
Mm.
Take me back into how it actually started and like at what stage did it start to grow to where it's at now? Because obviously it's a couple years old and
Mm.
probably nobody knew that it was even on Facebook for a while. And
Mm.
at what point did it actually start to get traction and see volume?
Well, I think I started the group in September last year. I first started the group as a means to promote my YouTube content because I thought, oh, these Facebook groups don't let me post my content on there, so I can't really grow that way. But then
Yeah,
I started to do that, and I thought this isn't the right way to grow an audience, and it's not the right way to build a community because you need a successful community to get a good audience, if that makes sense. And I
yeah,
realized like you can't you can't do that. You can't be self-serving if you want to build a community. You've got to be about the community. So what I did was I decided I need to provide value first, and then promote my content as
got it.
a
Yeah,
sort of side thing. Like provide the value first before the product, if that makes sense. And I
right.
think that's where the group has. I think that's why the group's become so successful. And I think it was up until about I think it was sort of February March sort of time. That's when the groups hit 1,000 members, and once it hit 1,000 members, it was just like whew, just went straight up.
That's crazy. So from March till now,
Hmm.
pretty much 73,000
Hmm.
people have joined.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, you hit this point of engagement within the group. The algorithm said, "Okay, it's time to go. Let's fucking throw them. Let's throw them on the suggestion list."
Hmm.
And then it was just from there. Cool, man.
Hmm.
Awesome.
It's crazy how quick it's grown. I don't know why I don't know why it's grown so quickly because at that point we wasn't really getting that much engagement, but I think maybe it's the sense of community that's been built around it. Maybe people just really seem to resonate with the group and the message.
Right. Crazy. So what prompted you to start it in the first place? Yeah, like, you had this idea of content, but what was the driving factor around even starting that content in the first place? Was there a trigger for you? Like, I always feel like there's a fucking trigger, man, because somebody goes through something and, talking from experience, somebody goes through something
Mm,
and then all of a sudden, this mindset changes and they aren't finding the people around them that are engaging them in the ways that they're starting to think. So
mm,
then they branch out, and that's sort of why people start making content, right? Because it's like it's a form of expression,
mm,
and you're not really getting that from the people around you. So you sort of put it outwards, and then people connect, and then there's a
mm,
community behind it, and then there's people that just are influenced by you, and then like your content, right? So
mm.
what was sort of your turning point? What started the whole content thing?
I think for me it was like a couple of years ago. I went through a breakup, and there was a lot of. I realized it was a period of self reflection for me. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about relationships, and the last 2 years have just been a massive learning curve for me. A period of like self discovery, and just about a year ago, I got into self improvement content on YouTube, and that's where things really started to um, you know come forward, and that's where I really started to work on myself. I really started to I wanted to just learn more. I wanted to be a better man, and I think somewhere along the line, that's where I discovered Hamza's content on YouTube, and for me that was like a big inspiration. And I don't know, I remember watching one of his videos, and he said something about how easy it is to just all you got to do is just make videos, be consistent, and just be passionate about it. And sooner or later, it's going to make its own way.
For sure.
And I realized like because for a long time I always wanted to make YouTube videos. Like I remember when I was about 16, I had this like Minecraft YouTube channel, and like I love doing YouTube, but I fell out with making those sorts of videos. But that's what I wanted to continue doing, and for a long time I kept putting it off because I didn't have something that I could do day after day for years to come.
The motivation of it, or I guess the passion enough and whatever the subject is to come up with new content every single day, day after day, you know, and be able to spew shit that engages people, right?
Yeah.
It takes a certain topic to be able to do that every day, you know, and pump out a video a day or 2 reels a day or whatever it is, right? 10 a week. You know,
Yeah.
that's a lot of content. So
So, have you always had the like same kind of viewpoints that you share in the group and everything your whole life, or would you say like that breakup and that whole turning point was kind of where you started shifting your mind from one viewpoint set to another?
I'd say I've more or less held the same viewpoint, but it's evolved more over time. Like I've realized, like in order to grow, you've got to have a level of humility about you. You've got to be willing to hear other people's side of the story. You've got to be able to, you know, you've got to be able to listen to other perspectives. And obviously, as I've gone along, I've listened more and more and learned as much as I can. And that's kind of yeah. My opinion's probably shifted in some ways. Yeah, it's just an ever evolving story, really, if you think about it.
yeah, I think that once you start to find things that resonate with you, you know, it's sort of you start to build this foundation of values and tenets for yourself, and then you build off of that, and they sort of stay the same, but as you go on, you know, your ideologies change, right? Because you're exposed to new things, and or somebody will fucking tell you an argument, and then you'll go and you'll leave, and you may not agree with it at the time, but you'll go and you'll reflect, and you'll be like, oh fuck, man, yeah, it's that, you know, maybe that is a better way to look at it, right? So, you know, as you go and as you said, you know, you start to evolve, and that's the biggest thing is just being willing to evolve, you know, but at the same time, being able to filter through some of the bullshit that's on the internet
Yeah.
that people spew out.
Yeah.
And, you know, people say things, everybody has a fucking opinion at the end of the day. Everybody's going to have an opinion, but whether their opinion is factual, you know, I try to have this mentality that if you have been through something genuinely and you're giving me an opinion on something you've been through and you're actually giving factual data behind it, I'm going to listen to it. But like, unless you haven't been through something, it's hard to take somebody's opinion on something that they've never been through seriously or to fact, because they don't know.
I mean,
Right?
yeah, and that, and like, you know, how you bring up all that garbage being spewed on the internet. You know, you see it in the group every now and again too. And one of the biggest ways I see it is you get guys who probably have gone through that same breakup, have gone through that same divorce, whatever. They come on there with these like jaded, you know, horrible views and like, oh, every woman's garbage, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And it's like Steven said, you know, if you're not going to have any kind of data, any statistical facts, anything to back up what you're saying, if you're just saying stuff to say it, you know, at that point, you're just making noise to make it.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure, and that's constant, right? It's constant because people find their own value in coming up with opinions, you know, and that's just what they are. They're just fucking opinions, and you know, unless you have something to warrant a basis for them, then I'm just like, you know,
Yeah,
people talk
opinions
shit all
like
the time, man.
An opinion's like an asshole. Everyone's got one, and they all stink.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah, and you know, I feel like Josh, back to what you were saying about, you know, evolving and just changing in general.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because people who haven't reached where you're at, like I know me, you know, people call me my shit like I'm acting or this is a big character or I'm trying to be like people who don't understand where you're at in your life cannot comprehend that you're possibly just that way.
Yeah.
They always do that. It doesn't matter, you know, somebody does something similar and they're like, oh, you're trying to be like this person. I'm like, maybe there's the slight possibility that this is just fucking me and you can't grasp it because you're you. and you've been through
Or
what you've been through, and that's that, right?
Mm.
And I feel like that's just a reoccurring thing. People just genuinely cannot intellectually grasp
Mm.
who you are because they just haven't been through what you've been through. So they talk shit and but it's all an evolution,
or
right?
that, but also like certain people in certain classes of society, certain trains of thought, however you want to classify it, they're gonna act in congruent ways. People at the top 1% are gonna act a certain way. Middle class is gonna act a certain way. Like if people want to say that, it's like, okay, you're acting this way, you're trying to be this, or no. Have you ever thought people in this social circle just all tend to follow this same dogma or whatever you want to call it?
For sure. And like all of us, in the like the moderator chat, we probably get like the realest, of each other, right? So we're always passing info and pictures and videos and all this shit. So you guys are like, you know, Fred, you could post something. I'm like, yeah, like this guy's legit. I see all the talk in the back end, right?
The
And
Council of
then
Men.
yeah, so we see the legitimacy in each other every day, right? And they see like a snippet, and that's why
Mm.
people hate. But I can vouch for everybody that all you guys that post in there, like you guys live it. You know what I mean, Fred? You're
Yeah.
fucking out there grinding every day. Josh, you're fucking making content every day. Andrew, you're adding content every single day. I'm in there like I am who I am, whether you like me or not. You know what I mean? But it's we're legit. We believe
Mm.
it. There's no fucking act. There's no facade. And if you can't grasp that, and you aren't at that level, and you
Mm.
aren't at that place in your life, then sorry, man. It is what it
I mean,
is.
they
Definitely.
always say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
For sure.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
but you have to find a new room. That's also
Yeah.
part of
Oh yeah, and to that, Andrew, leveling up is the most important thing. Like who you hang out with. I've said this a lot. And there's backlash or not, but the reality is, at least in my mind, is that you are the people who you spend your time with, really.
mm.
So, as hard as it is for some people to comprehend and accept, you have to realize that if you're hanging out with people that aren't contributing to your life, well,
Yep.
you're going to move a hell of a lot slower than if you're hanging out with five dudes that all have their shit together and they're all networking and
Mm.
they're all moving towards a collective goal and trying to pursue something that they are passionate about or they want to grow. Of course, it just makes common sense that surrounding yourself with those five guys versus the five guys that come home and don't make any content and aren't passionate and don't have any values or tenets, like they're not going to add anything other than just companionship to your life, essentially, right? And at
Mm.
some point, at least me personally, you get to a point where like that companionship of your friends and stuff like that is great. But if you really want to grow, people need to add stuff to your life. Like that's the whole point of having an inner circle of people that are genuinely there for each other and supporting each other and can kind of work together, right? But if there's no value and not everybody has to give you something, you shouldn't expect something. I'm not saying that. But if you're hanging out with five great dudes, you know, you should look at them and be like, okay, are they negatively impacting my life or positively impacting
Mm.
my life, right?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. And it's so tough sometimes because it's like you're talking to certain group of guys who act a certain way, people who act in a certain um, manner and everything. One thing about me is like when I talk, I want to have some purpose behind the conversation. Like for me, I just anything related to engineering, mechanical, this, that, and the other. I simp over that kind of stuff. But it's like people who just like I don't know to just have conversations about just nothing. Like you're talking about like a person or a celebrity. That's like the most like nails on a chalkboard to me. I'm like, why does this matter? Like, why is this a topic being brought up right now?
Mm.
it's not even small talk, right? Because like
Yeah,
at least small talk, you're gonna have a start, you're gonna have a finish. There's gonna be a level of information in between that at least adds value to you, right? Because you either learn about that person or something about their life, and it's actually valuable. But to just sit and talk and about nothing, especially about
yeah,
shit like that, which people waste a lot of time, man. If you break down your day, I always tell people if you feel like you have no time in your day, go to your phone, go to your screen time, and I want you to screenshot that and you tell me how much time you spent on your phone in the last week.
Mm.
And if it's less than 8 hours, man, I'll pay you.
Mm.
But it
yeah,
ain't gonna be. And if you're telling me that you don't have time to do this or time to go to the gym for an hour a day at the gym is, if you go 6 days a week, it's 6 hours. spend
And
12 hours on
freaking
your phone.
also to go even further than that, go to your like app usage and everything and screenshot which apps are taking up the most of that screen time. I think we all can guess what some of the top ones would be.
Yep.
Facebook.
Facebook,
Yep.
Yeah, you,
TikTok, uh,
Instagram.
Instagram, YouTube. All the social media ones will most likely be the highest usage for most people.
And it's one thing if you're using it like Josh and Steven, where you're freaking building a brand and gonna make money and stuff like that off it. It's another thing if you're just like just
But not,
aimlessly scrolling and just
yeah.
heart.
yeah, and I do think about that a lot because like as a content creator, people like your shit, and then I go on those apps. I'm like, I feel bad because I'm like, I should support these people, and liking their stuff. But I'm just like, when I go on, I'm just like, is there anything that I can learn? Every time I go into a content creation app, just as a creator, I'm not even really watching for, I'm not really watching for the content itself anymore. I'm more watching for cues as to how I can take value from it, and that's the only way that I can justify, being on Facebook or being on TikTok or being on YouTube, or because I'm actually taking away something from it because it's contributing to what I'm pursuing, at least to some extent in my life.
Well, and that's actually very critical, I feel, with all the content creators, and I'm going to put air quotes around content creators on that one, freaking just all the trash that's being pumped into the internet nowadays. And you posted that thing about the NPC girls or whatever that just
Oh
freaking
fuck
that
yeah.
blow my mind and everything. No, like that, do not do the opposite of support that crap, like scroll right past it, ignore it, and try to get engagement for a group like Josh's or something like that. Or what's the other one? Luca. I know he's the other big men's group on Facebook too. But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful about what you're out there giving attention and support to.
For sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
I think that's what I like about men's self improvement as well. It's because it's the idea in mind is that it's a free platform where everyone can use, learn, and grow from, and there's resources readily available for anyone who wants to join it. And I think that's one of the it brings some positivity to using social media. You're not just on there just scrolling and just consuming shit all day long. You can actually learn something from it. It's actually going to
Yeah,
provide value to your life.
I mean, you got 75,000 people on that group. I guarantee you've got somebody who's a master in every single facet you can think of.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely nice to have access to something like that, especially for some of these guys, man. It's funny because, I make posts and I try to like, I have a level of satire to me. I like to fuck around, man. You come into a room with me, if you meet me in person, I'll probably talk shit to you half the time, but we'll have some good laughs and I'll be the first person to help you out, and the last person to leave you behind. And I post these satire posts and then I post some serious ones, and then, guys reach out, just random guys and guys that I look at and I'm like, oh man, like, you look like you got your shit together, but they're struggling behind the scene. And I think that's more common than not. So to be able to post something, in your group, which is essentially a platform for support, and then have somebody, actually value it, you're gonna get these guys who come on here and honestly, they're just all they got going on in their life is fucking Facebook, and they're gonna talk shit, whatever. But then these guys behind the scenes that it actually impacts them are the guys that reach out and they're like, hey, listen, like I'm going, I got this going for myself, this going, but I don't have this and I don't even know where to start. Can you help me? Right. And it's funny because you've built the group with the ideology that you want to offer this free support system. Yet anytime, at least in my personal opinion, there's been a lot of times that, I posted the ability to help somebody and they're like, scam or this. And there's a multitude of people in this group that in behind the scenes, I send shit all the fucking time for free and do things. And, there's a guy named Chase in the group. I built his business logo, built him a Facebook page, did all that. Like, I don't need money from you. I'm here to help you. If we're doing something and it's a massive project and I'm like taking hours out of my day and doing something, that's a different story because I make money from my business, right? But that's not, that's never the goal. It's just to help. And, your platform offers that to people, right? So
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't count freaking how many different dudes I've turned on to like 7A and 504 SBA loans, and I don't know. Like one thing I kind of noticed in the group is like when people ask for that and they're like, "Oh, how do I break into business?" or "How do I do this, that, and the other?" Everyone they kind of offer like very cookie cutter answers. They're like, "Get out there, grind, get the gym, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay, but." They're looking for like some kind of specifics here. So that's why I'll
Mm,
usually just put on there like DM me. And if they're serious, they'll DM me and I'll like,
mm.
hey, this is how I did it. I'm just giving you my experience. I'm no expert. I don't necessarily know how to consult, but here's like links as to where I went, people I talked to, and this, that, and the other.
For sure. Just having somebody to tell them that they're on the right path, to tell them that they're heading in the right direction, to tell them that they're not crazy for thinking about what they want to do and pursue it, and have somebody just direct them, that's life changing in itself, right? Because a lot of people are intimidated by change, man. Especially if you work a 9 to 5 job, like to just
Yeah.
leave your job with maybe 10 grand in the bank and be like, you know what, this is it, make or break. It's a terrifying thing. And to have somebody just to reach out to you, like you said, and direct you, to a link, as simple as a link, it can change a lot, especially if it's a loan and they didn't know it existed. And there's a lot of guys, especially in business, man, that don't know that they can get capital for free from, like, here we call it the BDC, and it's a business loan company specifically, or grants from our government, and federal grants and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So information is power, knowledge is power. It doesn't matter who's providing it to you, as long as it is factual data and it can help you, then it's valuable, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like I've seen in the group too, every now and again there'll be a post about comfort and everything. And those are kind of one of the ones I like touching on because that's a big thing to what Steven said is that comfort of waking up at 8 o'clock to go to your 9 to 5 job, knowing that on the first and 15th of every month you're going to get a
Yeah.
paycheck for this amount of money, and breaking away from that.
Mm.
I did it, and my God, it's terrifying. You know.
Yeah, and Josh and Andrew, I don't know if you guys have experience with it, but I'll tell you, I spent a long time working 9 to 5 jobs. Obviously, you don't just wake up and you want to run a business and just do things on your own and take that chance.
Mm.
I worked for a couple corporate companies, and you just get frustrated, especially if you have any level of intellect
Mm.
or ability to think outside the box and observe people from a different perspective. Like,
Well,
showing up every day, I started to have these crazy perspectives about the people around me at work, where I'm like, this person is going to show up here every day for the next 40 years, take their 5 sick days a year, their 2 weeks
mm.
holidays, and that's it. And they're going to get paid minimum. I'm looking at the balance sheet. I'm looking at the P&L, the profit loss report, seeing how much my site makes, multi-million dollar. And I'm looking at this person right here who works honestly probably harder than I do, because I'm a master of delegation. And as you get into leadership, that's what happens. You just delegate. And this person is making $18 an hour, and she's 36, 37, 38. And, she's moving out of her prime, moving out of career change area typically. And I'm like, oh my God, like, is that going to be me? I don't want that to fucking be me. I don't want to come here every single day, work for somebody else, make minimum, never
Mm.
be able to have enough time or energy, because I'm so drained, to do anything else for myself,
Mm.
make money on the side, go to the gym. But, then I started to spiral, and I started to look at everybody's habits. Everybody, didn't matter where I went, supermarket, grocery, the Walmart, wherever it was, Zellers, work. And I just started looking at people and paying attention. And I'm just like, man, there's a problem. And the problem is that everybody's doing the same thing day in, day out. And these people don't even look happy. And I know they're not
Mm.
happy, because I know what's going on in their life at work. They come and talk to me. I'm their manager. It's a lot. And they're miserable. They really are. And that
Mm.
was the biggest thing is, yes, going out on your own and doing your own thing is terrifying. But what's more terrifying is running in the same circle and not getting anywhere different for the rest of your life.
Mm.
And they'll feed you shit, because that's what they do. Oh, you can get a house. You can get that Ford Escape. Oh, then you can, you build your credit and you do this. They feed you all this shit to make you feel like you're running somewhere, you're getting somewhere, right? But all that in reality is down here. Like, that is the bare minimum. Fucking transportation and a house. right? Like that's what we're working to survive and working to be able to get somewhere. They offer that as this carrot, like, and they emphasize it so hard, but there is so much more opportunity, and it takes work and it takes grind, and it's not easy. But there's a lot of opportunity. But that's what pushed me out of that is watching all these people, and I just was fucking terrified to go down the same route.
There's one thing, me and my wife, we joke about this a lot and everything because she's also like, she's going to be getting a master's degree here pretty soon and all that. Like, she's done incredible with her life. And the phrase is, must be nice. And it's like, whenever people see your success, they see everything you've done, you've built, and all that. And they're like, oh, wow, must be nice to have a boat. Wow, must be nice to be able to afford this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, do you understand what it takes to get to those certain levels? Do you understand, like, obviously everyone here understands it. Josh is freaking working, I can't count how many hours to grow this group, do everything he's doing. Steven's out here, got like freaking every business under the sun you can imagine.
Must be nice to give up all your spare time just to achieve your goals.
Yeah, to literally give up your 20s. Like,
literally, fucking literally. Josh, I imagine we're pretty close in age. Fred, I imagine we're pretty close in age. Andrew, I think all of us are. And that's the biggest thing is like, right now you have an opportunity to achieve what you want to achieve in your life, but it will take dedication and it will take sacrifice and it will take discipline. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be free. You're going to be fucking tired. You're going to be fucking bloody. You're going to be sore. But when this is all said and done and the smoke settles, what you achieve after that is going to be above and beyond what everybody else around you did when they felt comfortable. They were going the easy route. They spent their 20s partying, drinking, smoking, doing this, and they were the ones talking shit. But once the smoke settles and you find yourself, after everything is done and you put all the work in, you're going to be a hell of a lot more content with what you have than the people who didn't.
And it's not even the fact of the luxury that you'll get to live or whatever you can afford and stuff. It's just the freedom that will come along with it.
100%.
I'm just going to interrupt, guys. Like, we've only got 3.5 minutes left on the Zoom call because I'm a cheap ass and I didn't buy the full version. So, if the live stream just cuts out, that's why.
Yeah.
All good. Yeah, no, I think we should do this more. I think it's an opportunity to discuss and also for other people to be able to get some insight into what's going on in behind the scene. But for me personally, there's a lot of people that rely on this group and a lot of people that find value in it every day, and people that we don't even know how it affects. I guarantee every single day there's somebody in that group that's on the brink of having a complete breakdown, potentially taking their life, and it's an opportunity for them to find solitude in a group of men and individuals. And I think, my message is to obviously add value. So if you're in the group and if you are there for the right reasons, add value. And if you don't have any value to add, really shut the fuck up, because there is no value to add. And all you're doing is taking away from the men that are in the group that truly want to find something that can help them move forward in life.
And to build off that, it's a age-old adage and everything, but you never judge a book by its cover. We talked a lot about like successful top 1% men and stuff today, but it's not always what meets the eye. And I can tell you, as kind of being up in that group and everything, I've never been more stressed, frustrated, and freaking everything you can imagine every single day of my life and whatnot. So when you see someone in that group and you think you know their life, there's a good chance you probably don't. So maybe get to know it before you open your mouth.
For sure. Anything else to add, boys?
Yeah, one thing I liked about the group is, like it has a wide range of different people. You have some people asking, something, that may sound simple, but for them it's a next big step. So I always approach it that way. Like, for example, I've seen a few people saying, they're like 26 years old, they don't have any skills, they don't have any certification. The first answer I give them, best answer, is to learn the trade. You can go in with absolutely nothing besides a hard work ethic, willing to show up on time, willing to show up late. 3 things, and you can have a career.
Mm.
That's exactly why I suggest that to as many guys as possible in the group, in life, my family, same thing. Because if you don't know what to do, you can learn a trade. You can go to a construction site. We need people. Like I run a building. I'm a chief engineer. I run a building here in the city. My building's a $80 million building, and I still have a hard time finding people to help me run the building. It's crazy.
And I told him earlier, for 8 years, I've never taken down a freaking job posting. Always had one up for 8 years.
Crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of guys don't understand like how good like a trade can pay.
For sure.
Like in here, and regularly have job openings still paying 50, 60 an hour.
I think you're about to be cut off there, boys. So
yeah.
I'll redo the call.
Andrew, like you were saying there, regarding people just not having the information and knowledge, especially in like the trades groups, to go out there and find a good career and just push themselves at it and learn from it. There also is the opportunity of them eventually leaving that and doing their own thing, right? Because trades workers, they get like these guys, they like to work their ass off, man, and they're working harder than business owners for business owners, but they get stuck. But if they were to just take all that information, all that knowledge, especially in a niche industry, even like yourself, Fred, and go off and do your own thing. Like, did you have experience with a different company before you decided to do your thing, or did it kind of like pass down, or how did that work, Fred?
So it was when I was, coming off my divorce, and I was telling Andrew this earlier and everything. I was like, had $4 in my bank account one day, fingering like $2 of diesel into my truck, and I was like, something's got to freaking change here. And so I rigged up my truck for welding, because I've been a welder, been burning rods since I was like 9, 10 years old, ran machines and all that. And I was like, I can do this by myself. So I rigged up, went out there, started doing it, was contracting to the company I got now a lot. And dude was an old, crusty freaking dude who founded and owned it, Vietnam veteran, all this stuff. He wanted to retire, but he had no next of kin or anything. And I was like, look, I'll go through SBA. I'll go through whoever I can to get loans and blah, blah, blah and everything. And would you sell it to me at a pretty discounted rate if I can buy you out and everything? And he was like, fuck, I don't want to fucking do this shit. I'll give it to you for 3 nickels.
What? No way.
Well, it definitely wasn't that cheap or nothing. It was in the 7 figures that the loans were to buy him out. But yeah, that's how it came to be, because I have a lot of experience with hydraulic and that kind of stuff like that. So I was like, it just kind of makes sense.
Good for you, man. Fucking good for you. And you know what? I'll tell you right now, that leads me to my next point here, which is the ability to conversate, communicate properly, and actually, a young guy like yourself, a lot of young guys nowadays don't have the communication ability nor the insight to be able to be like, oh, I should buy this guy out. Oh, I should go here and do that. I should be able to do this. And to be able to go to him and present that to him, that was huge. So
it goes back to that whole point of earlier, comfort,
Yeah, for sure. Crazy.
And hell, like when I was in the military and stuff, I don't know how it was up in Canada for you and everything, but I mean, like, you'll get a lot of dudes who hate the military and they won't leave just for the simple fact of that paycheck on the 1st and 15th is just too good and too sweet to them. The health care, the too scared to friggin' run off and try to do something else.
Oh, well, for sure. Because I feel like the military is a group where you can go and you don't have to try very hard to fit in, right? So you don't have to try very hard to be socially acceptable, politically correct. It takes about a 10% compared to what we have to use every single day. So it's comfort, it's laziness, really. It's like, man, if I leave here. Like, I remember when I was in, we used to call, and I don't advocate for this because people who haven't served, I don't think any less of them, but we used to call civilians dirty civvies. So, and this was like passed down, like this was a rite of passage essentially. So I remember when I went for my BMQ, which is basic military qualifications, they're like, these dirty civvies, these dirty. So they kind of brainwash you a bit. And then you get stuck in that where you're like, you think you're separate from the rest of society. And, on some level you are doing very different stuff and some people can't comprehend that. But a lot of, like, you're still human. You still have to present yourself in a certain way. But these guys get stuck, man, and they don't know how to conform back to society, and that's the biggest fear around it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, you end up with like these crusty freaking E7s and stuff, just the biggest assholes on the face of the planet, counting down their days until retirement, making everyone's life miserable around them.
For sure. Josh, did you guys ever think, or Andrew, did you guys ever think about joining the military back in the day? Ever
Um,
thought?
thought about it, but never got around to it. My dad actually was in the army at a young age,
Okay.
so there's a bit of information for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that I tell people about the military and stuff is always like, if you're going to go in, you need a very clear plan of what you're going to do when you go in, and you have to stick to that plan no matter all the temptations and bullshit that's going to surround you. And trust me, it will surround you, but it can be the greatest or worst thing in your life. It's just it's how you approach it and what you do with it. But if you don't know exactly what you want to do, my recommendation is stay away.
Yeah,
Sure.
that was exactly why I didn't join. When I was thinking about it, was probably, I would say, high school. I was thinking of Navy, but the only jobs I was interested in at the time was like to be a firefighter for the Navy or a CB. Basically, build boats and
Yeah.
do that. Because I was like, if I get out, let's say if I can't do the fire academy there for whatever reason, a CB, I can have great experience building shit. I can get a job right away coming out. But I decided to go the college route because I have a bachelor's as well. Because I gave myself 2 years to see how it would go, and then I was like, all right, this is going okay. So I decided to finish it. Then I started working in doing fire protection because that's what my degree was in. Then from there, I migrated my way over to facilities. Now I run an $80 million facility.
Good for you, man. Yeah, it's fucking.
Yeah.
You know what? The military is a great option to go into, especially for somebody like me at the time. I remember I was like, at the time, I was literally fucking homeless. Like, I remember going and doing my aptitude test, which is this, a test that you do on a computer, and they're like, hey, you want to be a firefighter, but you're too dumb to do that, or whatever it is, right? Which is definitely me at the time. So I was like 17 and a half. That's the legal age to start the process in Canada. And I was literally homeless at the time, man. And I just was like, they came to my school, and I went to a Catholic school, ironically enough. They came to my school, did a presentation on the military. It was a recruiting event. They don't do them anymore. But I signed up right there. I think pretty sure I was the only person. I was just like, this is it. And then 6 months later, I got in a Greyhound bus and disappeared. Never talked to anybody from that part of my life ever again. And this
Wow.
was like
Damn.
provinces. This is like moving to a different state in the U.S. Like, I got in a Greyhound bus. I managed to get a job at Burger King, and I got my own place and all this shit. So I had all my own furniture, at least a room worth. And I just got on that bus, left. I used to play competitive hockey, left my hockey equipment, everything. Packed a duffel bag, got on a Greyhound bus, rode for 30 hours, got out, and that was it. Never talked to any one of those people ever again in my life. Went into the military for 4.5 years, got out, and that was that. Went to school afterwards, had a couple kids, and that's it.
Well, it's like you were talking about freaking moving up social circles and everything earlier.
Fuck yeah. And that's why when people are like, oh, I'm in a tough spot, I'm like, I get it, man. I was literally walking into Walmart with a Under Armour, back when like those side bags were a big thing. Everybody had like the Nike satchel bag and, strap over. I'd walk in there, I'd unzip the thing, and I'd go to the meat section of the store. Couldn't afford anything because I was literally living on the street. I'd go and cook at my buddy's house, and I'd take meat and fucking I'd steal food. I was stealing food, man, in Canada. Like, at 17, and I was too prideful to go to a shelter or something like that. I'm like, fuck that. So I'm sleeping in bus stops. I'm sleeping on the ground. I'm going to bed at nighttime. And I hated this most. So to this day, I don't do well in like humid climates and sticky climates and shit like that. I don't like fucking grease on my skin. I just don't like it. I would go to sleep, and it would be warm, right? And overnight, the temperature would drop, and I'd be in the middle of a field. I used to sleep behind my ex-girlfriend's house in a park, and she gave me a pillow, and that's all I had. And I would lay on the ground. I had this pink fluffy pillow from her bed, and I would go to sleep, and I'd be like, okay, whatever. I got a sweater on. And I'd wake up fucking soaking wet because the temperature changed overnight and the dew, And that was probably the most miserable fucking feeling on the planet. So when I hear people and they're like, yeah, you know, I'm stuck in this position, I'm like, I get it, man. But I'm going to tell you right now, and it's just hard for them to comprehend. It doesn't matter what position you are in, it's you against you, and it's yours to lose. This life that you have is yours to lose. You're 100, you're in control of everything. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's not going to take a couple years. Doesn't mean it's not going to take a little bit of time. It's not what I'm saying. Definitely takes effort. But for anybody that is in a position that they feel has no progression, no end to it, it always ends. Doesn't matter how hard you're suffering or what you're going through. The sun's still going to rise tomorrow no matter what. And that's the biggest thing.
You can't always control the circumstances, but what you can control is your actions and the outcome going forward.
For sure. 100%. And you got to know that. You got to accept that. The hardest thing is people get so fucking hung up on being frustrated with their circumstance, being mad at their circumstance, being mad at the world. They're always looking for somebody to point at. Instead of saying, you know what? Fuck it. It doesn't matter. It does not matter who has put me where I am, how I got to where I am. The only thing that matters is how I get out of this. And if they put all their energy into that, things are going to go way smoother, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many people fixate so much on the problems and not on the solutions. If you put the same amount of energy into your solutions as you did your problems, think of how much progress you'd actually make.
Yeah, and I mean, a part of it that I kind of think is, you know, it goes back a little bit, and maybe this gets kind of political, but I mean, to the fact of like the West has sort of built itself into these welfare states. I feel like, you know, the amount of money you can squeeze out of the government with a sob story is just absolutely insane compared to countries in the East and everything.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You could make probably twice the average living wage here on welfare, working than someone who earns a minimum wage job. It's fucking mental.
They fucking pay you to have kids. They pay you to have children.
Yeah, that is so freaking true.
Fucked. It's fucked. And then, you know, maybe I'm a little bit bitter. I probably am a little jaded about it, but, you know, I pay child support and it's a lot. But the money, I'm telling you right now, having somebody who is my ex and doesn't work and hasn't worked in 10 years, she does make more. She makes the median range wage in Canada by not stepping out of her front door in the morning. And there's people that are fucking starving on the street, man. There's like, I go 10 minutes, there's fucking homeless people on the street.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild.
I mean, like, I'm not sure how it was in the UK or Canada or anything, but I mean, during COVID here, like, so many people didn't work for like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that, because the stimulus checks coupled with the increased benefits, and there's a whole like bubble in the housing market going on right now, because all those people who are having these like 900 a week paychecks and stuff, you know, went out and bought a house and everything, and now they're all getting foreclosed on, and cars are getting repossessed left and right.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy, man.
Same thing like you said, Fred. It's like same thing happened here in New York. I have, you know, like friends that made more during the pandemic not to work they ever made at their job.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they had the extended benefits. You know, it was crazy. And I told them, I'm like, this is the perfect time if you wanted to change careers. That was the perfect time to do it, and to get paid. Because that's how I went from doing fire alarm, from being an installer, to get into facilities. Now I manage a facility.
I mean, you got people who just sat there and, you know, were okay with it, and like I said, comfortable, and then you got people who capitalized and seized that opportunity.
Yeah, that's why it was perfect opportunity to like if you had like even a little motivation, you could have used that to like elevate your career drastically.
Bro, I was fucking, you know what I was doing? I was selling masks to assholes like you guys who couldn't find them anywhere. You guys couldn't find shit. Sell them, fucking mark them up 1,300%. And then fucking Facebook and Instagram and all the social media platforms, because it was scalping, essentially, they banned. You cannot, I don't know about it anymore, but at the time you couldn't fucking advertise masks online anymore because people were fucking making
Yeah.
bank off of it. So
Yeah.
I caught the
In
tail end of it.
America, in America, it was like the toilet paper thing. Like,
Yeah.
places were they stayed sold out of toilet paper because people were literally scalping teepee.
Yeah. I didn't understand that. Like, more people were more worried about wiping their ass than working. I'm like, it made no sense. I still don't understand what was the whole thing
I
for
don't
the
know. It's
toilet.
fucking weird, man. That
I,
whole thing was fucked.
Yeah,
I
that
remember. I remember hand sanitizer. People went crazy for that. It was.
Yeah, that
Oh yeah,
too.
hand sanitizer was worth more than gold.
The breweries, the actual breweries here that made beer and had all that hop and did all like they made their own vodka and shit like that. They started to bottle and make hand sanitizer right there at the brewery. So
Oh yeah,
everybody was
because like
capitalizing.
the glycerol and everything from the beer, or what is it, glycol or something?
Yeah, exactly. So they were just bottling it and they were selling it at the front desk. If you ever went in there, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But I think that that was definitely a very weird part of life, man. But it was a good eye opener that these things can happen, and there needs to be a level of preparation and thought around it because for a long time I think everybody was just sort of like, oh, there could be never anything that goes wrong,
Yeah.
never any. But
Yeah.
it opened your eyes to number one, how fucking crazy people can get. Because I'm not one of these big vaccine conspirator guys, but am I pro? No, I'm not. I think COVID was 99.9% bullshit, right? But like the amount of shit that I seen, people were losing their shit, man. There was two sides. The crazy fucking side where it was like people would see me out and about. I'd be like doing shit. I'd go. There's a couple coffee shops that fought the law, but the law won type thing and stayed open. And I'd be like, oh yeah, man. I live in downtown. I'm like, I gotta go get a coffee. I want an espresso. I go there. There's a picture or some shit. How dare you? You're the reason that people are dying. All this crazy shit. I'm like, what? And fucking now, I don't know if you guys seen the news, but Alberta's premier was the first large political individual to apologize for how everybody was treated, at least in our province, like around COVID. She came out and she's like, I just want to apologize for everybody that was segregated, everybody that was kind of pushed into a corner because they didn't want to believe a certain thing or they didn't want to follow through on this. So it's pretty neat to say that, man, but it was crazy. And it's not like the world was blowing up or on fire. Imagine if there was something that was 4 times worse. People pick a side, man, and they will die on that hill no matter what. And then afterwards, you don't hear anybody coming out and being like, oh yeah, man, like I'm really sorry that I harassed you and told you that you're responsible for murdering people. And it was crazy, man.
Do you know?
Crazy.
You know what's crazy about all that though? Like, it just shows you just how much power and influence the media, social media, has over you. Because
But on top of that,
it really does separate you from the reality that you live in. Like, if let's say you go back 3 years, you didn't watch any TV, you had no internet, you just you just live life as normal. You wouldn't see COVID. You wouldn't even know what it was because you just think, what the fuck is everyone doing? Why is everyone going around wearing masks? If you know what I mean, it wouldn't exist because you're not accustomed to the hysteria that's around it.
well, it just goes to show the group think too. I mean, like, you even look at it nowadays, how media is like memes and everything like that. My goodness, it's like the whole internet is just on lock for about a month and a half on each meme, and just like clockwork, they just move from one to the next to the next.
Well, we see it in our group, right?
Like one week it's Seymour retention. What all about them cummies?
Yeah. But like you guys notice, I always notice a pattern, right? So if I post something that's a little bit more controversial to somebody that doesn't quite grasp it or understand, if nobody comments on it, then nobody comments on it. But the minute that one person comments on it and takes a stance, everyone's like, rah, they're right on it with them every single time because people want to feel included.
Yeah.
And I had a mentor that gave me the best piece of advice I've ever heard in my life. And I get frustrated. I'm like, what the fuck? I have all this shit going on in my life. And you allow one thing to stop your day, stop your life. And you hyper fixate on that. And he said to me that imagine their life is this big. If you take a quarter, which is a piece of currency in Canada, and you put that quarter into the center, which takes up about as much space as this, how much space is left in their life Nothing. So that one thing that they decided to fixate on controls their entire life because people genuinely don't have a lot going on. So the minute that somebody has an opportunity to add some value into their life and put that in there, and they hyperfixate on it, you see them and they ride that, and it gives them purpose. And humans love purpose, man.
It's actually an amazing analogy. Never thought to look at it like that.
Right? I cope with it. I genuinely use it as a coping mechanism because some days I'm like, all right, man, this can go two ways. I can let this person drag me right into their small world mentality, or I can just like, and sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some, but for the most part, I do okay.
It's like when I post things in the group, a lot of the time I'll get a positive response, a lot of the time I'll get a negative response, and people go crazy. But the things you've got to learn to just not give your energy to the people who are trying to fucking give you shit, because at the end of the day, you can't please everyone. You know, someone's always going to have a complaint somewhere along the line. So just be fucking you. Do your thing. If people don't like
that's
it,
life.
Yeah,
and that's life.
And if people don't like it, that's their fucking problem, right? If they want to rise to it, they want to waste the time and energy reacting that way. Let them, but don't rise to it. You know what I mean?
And if we're talking specifically about like you and Steven and everything, you know, who are content creators and building that brand, you know, it's like Marilyn Monroe said, even negative press is still press.
Negative press makes the most money, man.
Yeah.
Negative press makes the most money. If you're only getting positive press, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it
That's
wrong.
why I definitely think these celebrities are freaking out there, running around making fools of themselves every other week, trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, 100%. As long as you talk about them, that's all they need.
Cha-ching. It's like a stock, okay? The way that I look at it is when you're building yourself as a content creator, you are your own economy, you're your own stock, okay? The more clicks you can get on that stock, the higher the stock goes up. It doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. It really doesn't matter because attention is attention, either way you look at it. So when these guys come on and they're doing it, I'm like, yeah, low key, I'm like, yeah. Unless they say something absolutely outlandish, and I'm like, why the fuck would you say that? Like, there's no relevance to it, and they're just a targeting thing. That's a different story. Then I'm like, oh man, you know, I'd like to see you in real life, not the monkey picture that you have as your profile pic.
Not the anime profile pictures.
Yeah, or like, you know, it's a picture and their face is like right up in it. They're like, and I'm like, who the fuck? You're talking shit to me, man? I'm like, whatever. But yeah, no, it's you have to be your own economy, and that's in your own life as well. Like, you have to advocate for you. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, what anybody says. You have to be the one to take control of your life because nobody else is going to come and do it for you, honestly. And you're going to get more people that don't like you than do like you, or it's going to seem that way because the people that don't like you always have the loudest shit to say. And the people that do like you are the guys that inbox me and say, thank you for this, or can you help me with this? Why? Because there's foundation behind that. There's basis behind it. But if you're just talking shit, that's why they're just like, you know, click, boom. Doesn't matter. They're nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it really goes to show what's going on in their own life or something like that too.
Fred, I feel like you're going to use that coin analogy in the near future.
No, I'm definitely stealing that within like the next hour.
Oh, shit, that's awesome. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I remember one time I commented something on one of your posts, and then like you made a video or something, and I was like, I gave him that.
I think I was it you? Was it you? Yes. You know, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck that was. Yeah, it inspired me.
I'm trying to remember too. I just said something, and you were like commented back. You were like, "Oh, I wish I put that in the video or something."
It was something really good. Yeah, and definitely blue blocks that. But now we're even.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
Now we're even.
Like we'll just keep trading them back and forth.
Oh shit! What's your guys' thoughts on fitness? You know, obviously, personally, I think that it's a big part of my life. It's a big part of my own tenets regarding living in a state of masculinity. You know, what are your thoughts on fitness and taking care of yourself? Do you guys think that it's necessary? Do you guys think that it's a negative sign if you see somebody who doesn't put a priority on his health as to kind of where their headspace is at?
But
Uh,
I'm gonna say on that one, like I can't believe we even have to ask this question.
Yeah,
Like I can't believe this is even
yeah,
a talking point or
yeah.
whatever. I mean, the greatest philosophers in all of history and everything, and Socrates was the one who said it, how much of a tragedy it is for a man to grow and never see what his body's capable of.
mm,
But just more beyond that, like go to any medical freaking professional in the world and like they're all going to tell you the same thing. If you're fat, that exacerbates every single other health problem you possibly have.
mm.
But nowadays, that's mean or whatever, and people literally leave their doctors over that.
Crazy.
It's
I,
yeah,
I don't get it. Like, to me, like, maybe it's just the way I've grown up. Like, my dad's always been someone who's, who's gone to the gym, he's always, like, been in good shape and everything. And I don't understand, like, obviously that shaped my view of what a man does. A man stays in shape, a man looks after himself, he takes care of himself. Like, to me, that's something that a man has to do. Whether you're doing it for you want to be like better looking or whatever, it's just something that's part of a man's life, whether he accepts it or not. I think it's just one of the principles that I think we need to carry as men.
what about
And
you,
it's
Andy?
like to not be like is one thing to be like physically fit, like some of
Mm.
the dudes in the groups who are like, 8 packs for freaking that takes insane amounts of work and
Mm.
stuff like that. But I mean, to just not be morbidly obese
Mm.
is extremely
Mm.
easy.
Yeah, just to take
Like,
care of yourself. It doesn't take that much. I mean, you
yeah.
don't need to be the fucking biggest guy on the planet. Just take care of yourself. Put a bit of pride into your appearance, and you
I
know.
mean, to not have 60% body fat at like 400 pounds or something is the easiest thing in the world to accomplish, honestly. So I don't get, in America, I'm not sure how it is in Canada or UK or anything, but I mean, like in America, you go to Walmart and it's
Oh,
almost like
horrible.
comical the kind of people you'll see in there. And I'm just like, how have you let it get to this point?
Yeah, like once I find there's a good like meme. It's funny because it's you know how you had the old time sideshows and they had the fat man. That fat man now looks like the average person.
Yeah, for real.
I find that picture. I'm gonna put it up, and it's crazy because it's not even that long ago. It's maybe like 60 years ago, if at that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And he looks like your average guy at Walmart.
Processed food.
For sure.
Processed food.
I'm just gonna say, guys, like we've got 6 minutes 55 seconds again.
All
Yeah.
good.
Just
So like my key philosophy always is that I genuinely fucking care about perception of myself. There is nothing I hate worse than being judged or perceived in the wrong way prior to, actually getting a chance to show it, right? So, presenting yourself, going to the gym, taking care of yourself, and for your health, the health perspective as well. It's so important. And I'll tell you right now, and this is for anybody out there who may be watching this, that if you master your health and you take care of yourself, everything else will come easy. And it's as simple as showing up for an hour a day, moving in a specific way, and you can change your entire life. Not only will it help you build confidence, but it will also change the perception about the perception of how people see you out there in the world. And you want to be healthy for your family because, again, I've said this in videos prior. If you can't do the basics, how are you doing the complicated things? One of the most basic things that you can achieve in your life is the mastery of your health because it's fucking free. You don't need
Yeah.
money to do it. You don't go out there, go for a walk, go for a run. I'm telling you right now, there's marathon runners who are absolutely jacked, and all they do is fucking run for the most part. You could go out there and you could be fit as hell, healthy as hell, just by running. It's free. So if you aren't doing the basics, how are you doing the complicated things? And I'll tell you right now that if you're not going to the gym and taking care of yourself, I know that you're lacking somewhere else in your life because it isn't a priority. And health should always be a priority, and it will
You know,
affect so many other facets of your life.
and it's
I'm gonna build off that one too and everything. You said it takes about an hour. I don't even think it takes an hour to be honest.
For
Like
sure.
in my driveway, we got a weighted bag, battle ropes, and like a tire, hammer, and stuff like that, and everything. I could toast you in about 20-30 minutes of a workout. Like it's that, and it's in my driveway. I don't got to
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't see where the excuses come from, honestly.
and I think as well, like not just physical health, but like what it does for your mental health is massive. Like I know someone personally, he might be watching this video right now actually, and if you are, say hello. A few months ago he started going to the gym. You know, his mental health wasn't in a good place. And just seeing how, like, he's going to the gym like 5-6 days a week now. We're just seeing how his perception of everything has just changes. Like he's so much more positive. You know, he's so much more confident. He's got so much more drive and ambition just because he's been going to the gym and staying consistent. It's been massive for him.
As a man, you are designed to chase, to pursue, to fight, to struggle, to go through things in your life that challenge you in order to better yourself and come out stronger. And going to the gym and being physically active and pushing yourself for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, will change your life because you are strengthening yourself mentally and physically. And if you aren't doing that, you're losing progress. You're losing to the next guy that is doing that. It will change your life. And if you're not doing a key function of what men should be doing, there is no secret that you will feel like shit. You will feel lazy. You will feel fat. You will feel depressed because this is a basic function. We used to go all day. We used to run all day. We used to fight all day. That has only changed in the last 100 years, 120 years. It's not that long ago. So that's in us, and that's been in us for a long time. So if you're not utilizing that to your advantage, you're missing out.
And I'm sure Steven's probably heard this before. Being in the Army, they'll tell you everything's teamwork, but physical fitness is a personal event.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You got to be able to do it. So health is priority, man. I think that's the biggest takeaway here. It's priority, and it's health is number one, and all that other shit will come with it, right? Looking good, feeling good, all that stuff, and you know, go there, put your headphones in, and master that shit. Fucking, that's your time to fight. You can't go around the street anymore and release your testosterone and punch people in the face, throw them on the ground, and get into a life or death brawl. You can't do it. You're gonna go to jail. Go to the gym and fight there. That's where you need to release it. And it will change your life. I'm telling you, man. It's changed mine personally. Been an athlete my whole life. I've been through stints where I wasn't as active. And I'll tell you, I felt like fucking shit. I felt like shit. And then I got back into it. I'm like, man, how stupid am I to allow myself to get back into this position or miss out on taking advantage of being in the gym and doing that or wherever you're exercising. So.
And you know what as well? Like, I fucking hate exercising. I can't stand it.
No,
but I do it anyway because I know that it needs to be done. Like, I force myself to do it. I hate doing it. Like, it's not even a physical, like, it's not even that physically bad, but it's mentally for me. I fucking hate it. I cannot stand training 4 days a week, but I do it.
For sure.
And I have not missed a single day in over a year because I know it's something because I will feel genuinely ashamed of myself if I do not do it. Like,
right? Feel, right?
Like you
can't let your feelings dictate your actions.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need to fucking do it. And I'll tell you, everybody on this call, there is days when I go to the gym, I'm looking there, I'm yawning half the time, and I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking brutal. I'm like, is there even a purpose to me being here? But there is, because when you go to the gym and you exercise and you push yourself in any situation on those hard days, it makes every other day easier. Every other day easier.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if you guys do it in the morning or when you do it or whatever, but you know, if you do it in the morning and stuff, it freaking starts your day off on the right foot. Like, you know, you get it done, get showered, eat your breakfast and stuff like that, and you just get that one little win, that bit of success at the beginning of the day carries the whole rest of your day for you.
For sure, it's important. Well, good talk, boys.
Yeah, it looks like
we should definitely do this again.
We might get cut off soon, but it's been good. We'll do it again.
I'm gonna go and pretend to be Andrew Tate and smoke my cigar.
Well, obviously.
I'm gonna go on a 400-day semen retention streak, and I'm gonna start living.
All right, boys. It was good chatting with you.
All right.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later. Have a good day.
Goodbye.